It was August 21st, 2017. A normal morning in a suburb of Detroit, Michigan. Two teenagers discover their mother, Nada Haranya, in the backyard lying face up on the ground. She lies motionless. At first, everything seems like an accident, as if she simply fell out the window. But very quickly it becomes clear, something doesn't add up. Investigators find details that hint this is not what it appears to be. Phone calls, cameras, timing, traces. Everything points to the fact that this was not just a fall. Who would want to harm a mother of three? Why did this seemingly well-off family suddenly become the center of a criminal case? Today, I will tell you the story behind what appeared ordinary but hid something sinister. As you listen, it will become harder and harder to believe this really happened. In August 2017, the Farmington Hills Police Department received an emergency call. An officer was immediately dispatched to the scene. The address was in a quiet and affluent suburb of Detroit. The call came from 14-year-old Aya Altantawi. That morning, she couldn't find her mother, Nada Haranya. Aya searched the entire house, but her mother was nowhere to be found. When Aya finally saw her, Nada was lying unconscious on the stone patio, right below the second-floor window. While speaking with the dispatcher, Aya handed the phone to her older brother, 16-year-old Muhammad. He began performing CPR, giving mouth-to-mouth and counting out loud.
9,
10, 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have to take up the pace.
wait, okay, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4.
So what happened to your mom there?
Looks like she fell off the building.
How did she fall?
I didn't go into the room, I just was scared. I screamed. I couldn't look.
Okay, do you know how she fell or what she was doing?
Yeah, she was on the top floor. She was washing or cleaning the windows.
She was cleaning the windows?
Yeah.
When the police officer arrived, Aya met him outside and led him to the spot where their mother lay. Muhammad was still trying to revive her. The officer took over and continued resuscitation efforts until paramedics arrived. But when the medics got there, it was already too late. There was no pulse. Nada was pronounced dead at the scene. Her body was taken by the Oakland County Medical Examiner's office, and the cause of death remained unclear at that time. The two older children told police that their 12-year-old sister had also been home that morning. She was still asleep and hadn't heard anything. According to Aya and Muhammad, no one else had entered the house during the night or early morning. Aya explained that her mother usually drove her to school around that time, but that morning, everything was different. Aya said she was supposed to be at school by 6:40 a.m., but when it came time for them to usually leave the house, her mother was nowhere to be seen. So Aya tried calling her, but Nada's phone stayed silent. She didn't answer calls or messages. The police asked the teenagers when they last saw their mother. Aya said she had seen her the previous evening, around 7 or 8 p.m. Muhammad added that earlier that morning, he heard their mother moving around in her room, and then everything went quiet. Aya told them she kept calling her mom as she was getting late for school. When there was still no answer, she started searching the house. Room by room. Nothing. On the second floor, in the guest bedroom the family called the makeup room, Aya noticed something strange. The window was open. A small stepladder stood nearby, along with a bucket of water and a bottle of Telex cleaner. But her mother wasn't there. Aya walked up to the window and looked outside. What she saw shocked her. Seeing her mother, she immediately called for her brother. The teenager's father, Basil Altantawi, was living separately at the time. He and Nada were in the middle of a divorce. Police asked the children to contact him and have him come to the house. When Basil arrived, he was told that his wife was dead. He was devastated. Unable to stand, he fell to his knees. While the family tried to process what had happened, investigators began examining the yard and the house. Nada was found lying on her back, a strange position for someone who had fallen from a window. There was no blood around her, which immediately raised suspicions. A fall from that height should have caused more visible injuries. Inside the room from which Nada had supposedly fallen, things also seemed unusual. The bucket of water stood neatly by the wall, not a single drop spilled. The stepladder was still in place, and on its top step sat a bottle of cleaning solution. On the windowsill, detectives noticed a small piece of adhesive tape, and it wasn't clear why it was there. But that wasn't the only odd detail. The outer surface of the window was covered with streaks of dried cleaner, Tilex, a product not meant for washing glass. In the courtyard, next to the body, officers found a towel with a strong chemical odor. It was collected as evidence. Detectives found no signs of forced entry or anyone else being inside the house. During the search of the house, investigators noticed several security cameras installed outside. One of them was positioned toward the side yard, right near the area where Nada's body was found. The guest bedroom window, the one she supposedly fell from, wasn't directly in view of the camera, but the light coming from that window cast shadows on the opposite wall, and that allowed detectives to notice something strange. On the footage recorded at 5:53 a.m., the light in the guest bedroom turns on. A silhouette appears in the window, and the window opens. A few seconds later, the footage seems to show someone lifting Nada from the floor and pulling her toward the window. Then her body is pushed out through the open window. After that, the shadow pauses briefly, as if looking down, before moving around the room again. For detectives, these images left no doubt. This was not an accident. It was a crime. When the autopsy was completed, that theory was officially confirmed. The cause of Nada Huranya's death was strangulation, and someone had staged the scene to look like a fall. By the time she was pushed out of the window, she was already dead. Nada was a woman almost everyone in the neighborhood knew. A 35-year-old mother of 3, she worked as a personal trainer at a fitness club. Nada loved sports and an active lifestyle. Neighbors often saw her jogging early in the morning, and her clients remembered her as energetic, kind, and always supportive. She lived for her children. Aya recalled that her mother always made sure they got up for school on time, ate properly, and didn't get lazy. Everything in their house ran on schedule, yet there was always laughter. But behind that energy and joy, there were worries. Nada was in the middle of a divorce from her husband, Dr. Basil Altantawi. Their relationship had long been tense. They had been married for nearly 20 years, since they wed in Syria in 1999. Now, Nada had decided to start a new life, one that was freer, more independent, and where she made her own choices. 2 days before her death, Nada was scheduled to appear in court for a divorce hearing. She had filed for divorce after an incident on Valentine's Day in 2016 when she claimed her husband pushed her down a flight of stairs. Basil denied the accusation, but ultimately pled guilty to domestic violence. He was sentenced to probation, required to wear an ankle monitor, and ordered to stay away from his wife for 2 years. At the same time, his career was collapsing. In 2016, he was charged with Medicaid fraud, accused of submitting false medical billing claims while working as an internist. He eventually paid nearly $280,000 in fines. After that, Basil lost both his medical license and his income. In the divorce filings, he claimed he could no longer afford to pay alimony or support what he called Nada's extravagant lifestyle. He also complained that she had Americanized their children and led them away from their Syrian and Muslim traditions. It's no surprise that after her death, investigators quickly turned their attention to him, but the cameras showed no sign of anyone entering or leaving the house that night. Inside were only Nada and her 3 children, and Basil had an alibi. His ankle monitor tracked his movements. He hadn't been near the house until police asked him to come. Trying to figure out what really happened, investigators once again turned to the home's security camera footage. One of the cameras recorded Aya handing the phone to her brother so he could begin CPR. The girl was running back and forth between the patio and the driveway, guiding the police officer first and then the paramedics. The footage also showed Mohammed. He was leaning over his mother, but according to investigators, his movements looked strange. It seemed like the teenager was only pretending to perform CPR. His hands barely touched Nada's chest. Police later compared that footage to the timing of the 911 call. It turned out that during the call, Mohammed paused several times, even though his voice on the recording made it sound like he was still counting and actively trying to save his mother's life. In reality, he sat beside her body for long stretches, doing nothing. It looked like a performance for the 911 operator, as if he wanted to make it seem he was fighting to save his mom. When Aya arrived with the police officer, Muhammad began pressing on his mother's chest again, this time more firmly. The officer noticed that when he first saw the teenager, Muhammad was holding his phone in his right hand and only lightly tapping his mother's chest with his left, as if pretending to perform CPR. After learning all this, investigators launched a deeper investigation. The initial search of the house on August 21st was only a quick inspection, but later the police returned with a warrant. Inside the washing machine, they found several items, among them a brown bath mat. The machine displayed an error code, and through the glass door, investigators could see white residue floating in the water, likely remnants of the mat's backing. In the dryer, they found a pair of jeans and a t-shirt belonging to Mohammed. These items, along with the towel found near Nada's body and other materials collected around the house, were sent for forensic testing. Investigators suspected that one of these items might have been used in the murder, possibly soaked with a toxic chemical. The house contained many potential sources of poison. In the garage, there were containers of antifreeze, bleach, weed killer, and rat poison. All of them were seized for analysis. After reviewing the surveillance footage, detectives returned to the house and requested that all family members come in for formal interviews. Basil Al-Tantawi, the children's father, refused to be present. He left the investigators working at the house and went to pick up Aya, who was at school at the time. However, he allowed detectives to speak with Muhammad alone.
So what time does she normally go to bed?
Normally I'd say around 10, maybe, late 9:30.
9:30 or 10? Do you recall what time she went to bed last night?
Around late 7, maybe early 8, I think.
You know why she would go to bed 3 hours earlier, or?
No. Like I said, we didn't really talk much yesterday, so.
Yes, you mean Sunday night?
Sunday
Night going into Monday. Okay.
How are you? Do you and your mom get along well?
Yeah, I mean, we're pretty normal. We've been pretty normal for like a while. Like the only time I told you this morning, we kind of had issues, you could say, is at the beginning of like the divorce case, but that's about it.
How long has that been going
on? Nearly 2 years, a year and a half now.
During the interrogation, Mohammed claimed he went to bed around 11:30 p.m. and woke up at about 6 in the morning. But at first, when he spoke to the officer who arrived at the scene, he said he woke up at 6:30 a.m. This inconsistency in his statements raised suspicion. According to him, he hadn't gotten up during the night and hadn't left his room until Aya woke him after finding their mother's body. During the interview, investigators started with simple questions. They asked Mohammed to describe how that morning began.
Did you get up at all during the night? Were you walking around anywhere? Nothing. So you go to sleep at 11:30, you don't hear anything, don't see anything, don't come out of your room. Get up at 6:30, 6-ish.
Yeah.
And you go into the bathroom, you take a shower.
Yeah.
You're getting ready for school.
Yeah.
Okay, and then your sister, how should she knock on the door? She call you? What happened?
I heard her scream in the makeup room, and then I ran to her, she ran to me, and she's like, I'm on the phone, we have to do this, and then I'm like, okay, so I'm outside.
When the conversation turned to details, the detectives told Mohammed that the security cameras in the house were working, though he claimed he hadn't known that. They said that on one of the recordings, someone else could be seen standing by the window next to his mother. The investigators gently suggested that it might have been an accident. Maybe he had been helping his mother clean, holding the ladder, and she just slipped.
Now, we noticed that, there's a security system here. Do you know how that works?
No, I wasn't even aware of that. We had more cameras in the back of the house.
we want to get a resolution to this. I know you do too.
Yeah.
The actions happen all the time. You know, somebody could be helping somebody with something, holding a ladder or something like that, and something happens. That's why we need to know what happened. And that's why we're looking to you, because you're the oldest and we've watched the video. And we're trying to see what your input into this is as far as how your mother ended up falling out the window.
I mean, is there like any specific question you can ask me? Like, where should I go from?
I want you to start at the beginning. Tell me what happened.
Okay, so I woke up 6 o'clock, and then, you know, my sister's awake already. You know, she's also getting ready, and then I assumed my other sister was getting ready. So,
Did your sister see what happened?
yeah, she's the one who found out. You could say
I'm sorry?
she's the one who found out like the whole scene or whatever.
Was she there when it happened? Or were you there when it happened?
No, I don't know if she. I don't want to say anything about my sister, but I just know that she was awake before me.
Somebody was there.
Yeah.
We know that. It's on video.
I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to say anything about my sister, but I mean, if it comes down to it, then yeah, she was awake before me.
The detectives listened, but were skeptical. From the footage, the shadow by the window clearly belonged to a man. Short hair, a male build. It matched Mohammed's appearance. He changed his story several times. The detectives kept gently pushing him for clarity. At first, he said he hadn't been in the room when it happened, but later he admitted that, yes, he was helping her. According to him, she was cleaning the window and asked him to bring the spray bottle. He handed it to her while she stood on the stepladder, removing the screen.
We just need to know.
It's my mom's life, man.
Muhammad, I understand that. I understand that wholeheartedly. We just need to know why, so we don't look into this further, okay? What happened? Muhammad, it's all right.
Okay, so when I woke up, like I told you, she was going upstairs to clean the window and stuff like that. I didn't really overlook it. I was going downstairs to drink water first, so I thought she was going to do her makeup, and then I went back upstairs, and then she was cleaning the window, and then she's like, "Bring me, something to clean the window with." So I brought her the spray bottle, and then she already had a ladder in there, or the stool or whatever it's called. She was taking the window, the thing off, screen off, and then before I left the room, she was, getting up on the window. She told me to, just be there so I could help her with the ladder, hold on it, because it was shaking a little bit. So I came over. She tried to, I don't know.
Just tell us. You've gone this far, bud.
She went on the ladder. She sprayed it already, and then she tried to lean over. I was standing there, holding the ladder, and just looking around. Not really. I mean, I'm holding it. I don't think I'm supposed to look at it the whole time. And then she leans over and she trips, and then something got stuck on. I don't know what it was. So I went over like that, and then that's when she fell, and then I didn't know what to do. So I just went to take a shower because I thought I was dreaming or whatever. I wanted something else to happen.
About 40 minutes into the interview, Basil Al-Tantawi returned to the house. He quickly interrupted the questioning and insisted that his son not answer any more questions without a lawyer present. When detectives obtained Mohammed's phone records, one number immediately caught their attention. On the day his mother died, he had called it more than 50 times, starting at 4:27 a.m. and continuing late into the evening. In his contacts, that number was saved under the name Love. 8 of those calls were made before 5 in the morning, about an hour before the cameras captured Nada falling from the window. Investigators reviewed his call history from previous months and found nothing similar. There hadn't been a single other day with that many attempts to reach someone. Most of the calls lasted only a few seconds or went unanswered altogether. One in particular stood out to detectives: an incoming call to Mohammed's phone at 5:55 a.m., the exact minute when, according to the surveillance footage, his mother fell from the window. After obtaining a search warrant and seizing the teenager's iPhone, investigators discovered who was behind the name Love. It was his father, Basil Al-Tantawi. The two had been exchanging messages for months. In their chats, Mohammed sent his father photos, videos, and audio recordings taken inside the house. Among the files were recordings of Nada's conversations, including those with her divorce attorney. What shocked investigators most was how father and son labeled their contacts. In Mohammed's phone, Basil was saved as Love, while his mother's contact name was Dog. One of the screenshots found on the phone was dated a month before the tragedy. It showed a message from Nada to her son, saying she knew about her husband's illegal activities, information that could send him to prison. She wrote that she had kept quiet, fearing that the information might be used against her. That screenshot was immediately forwarded to Basil. From his response, it became clear that Mohammed had taken his mother's words as a threat, not only to his father, but to their whole family. 3 weeks later, Basil received another photo from his son, a picture of the second-floor window, the same one Nada would later fall from. According to investigators, the image looked like a rehearsal. Someone seemed to be figuring out how to remove the window screen. The investigation also revealed that at 8:10 a.m., after Nada's death, someone tried to erase data from the family computer. At that time, paramedics and investigators were still working at the scene, while Mohammed was apparently looking for a way to delete traces of his activity. A few days later, the 16-year-old was arrested and charged with murdering his own mother. Police said there was not enough evidence to charge Basil Al-Tantawi. The charges against 16-year-old Mohammed Al-Tantawi appeared convincing. Those who knew the family well said the boy was a lot like his father, strict, religious, and deeply traditional. His sisters had easily embraced American life. They helped their mother, went shopping with her, and enjoyed sports. But Mohammed, according to acquaintances, believed that his mother had changed and grown too distant from the family. He disapproved of her job as a personal trainer, her growing independence, and especially her decision to divorce his father. Witnesses claimed that the teenager was troubled not only by his parents' separation, but also by the idea that their home would fall out of the Syrian and Islamic community they had been part of for years. By the time of the tragedy, the relationship between mother and son had become strained. Aya later told police that about a week before Nada's death, there had been a heated argument between them. At one point, Mohammed said, "She'll get what she deserves." Investigators believed that Mohammed killed his mother by suffocating her with a cloth soaked in a toxic substance. However, police were never able to determine exactly what the chemical was or where Mohammed had obtained it. The court proceedings dragged on for years due to appeals and the pandemic. Prosecutors believed that the attack took place in the bathroom of the guest bedroom. They argued that Mohammed killed his mother to stop her from testifying against his father at an upcoming divorce hearing. They also showed the jury security footage that appeared to capture Mohammed stopping CPR, even though he kept counting out loud with the dispatcher. The prosecutors also presented the footage showing the shadow in the window. Aya took the stand to testify about the tense relationship between Mohammed and their mother. When the divorce case started, he was very against it because he had kind of saw it as my mother was trying to take my father's money, my father's house, destroy our family, rip our family apart, she told the court. The defense, however, challenged the prosecution's version of events. Attorneys argued that police had failed to investigate other possible suspects. For example, Nada's male friend and co-worker from the fitness center who had previously been to the family's home and, according to the defense, had once entered the house without the children knowing. The defense also focused on procedural violations during the interrogation. Mohammed gave a confession before being read his rights. By law, A minor can only be questioned after being informed of the right to remain silent and after being provided with legal counsel. The attorneys claimed that the boy merely repeated the story detectives had suggested to him, allegedly under pressure and without fully understanding what was happening. Despite these arguments, the trial lasted just over a week. The jury deliberated for about 2 hours before finding Mohammed guilty. He was sentenced to 35 to 60 years in prison. His father escaped punishment. Aya later said that, in her view, both her brother and her father were responsible for their mother's death, and she cut both of them out of her life.